Alright guys, here's your boy Gary, Traxxas Slash 4x4, road to 80 miles an hour. So what you're looking at is my chassis with my new body on it. I did the Ford F100 body. And today I just put on my rear new toy. So the purpose of this video is to try and explain and show you guys what I did to this chassis in order to get it to 80 miles an hour. So first of all, take off this body mounts. While I'm doing so, I want to give a shout out to RC Knockout for all his hard work in trying to get 200 miles an hour. So, RC Knockout, some of this is for you and anybody else out there that needs some help. Now, I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but I've been working with speed cars for a long time. I've been doing a lot of road cars and speed and hitting 80 and 100 miles an hour with road cars. So this is my setup, everybody. So let's start off with first that 95% of this chassis is Traxxas. You have the boots, white leather, that are all purpose. Then I have the MIP 12 to 17 millimeter hub adapter so I can run the boots. Then I have the red RPM lower control arms. Now I only put those on there because I broke a rear factory arm when I wrecked on my second or third run. So obviously you guys can see that I got a Castle Mamba Monster X with a 2200 kV motor, but everything else is factory except for now I have a Techno center drive shaft. I did run this at 80 with the Traxxas drive shaft, but since I hit my goal, I wanted to put that drive shaft in there from Techno. I liked how they took up the slack in the drive shaft. So, and it was solid too compared to hollow. So that's the only reason why I did it. But other than that, you can hit 80 and 100 with the Traxxas drive shaft. So as you can see, this is actually an originally it was a Traxxas 4x4 Slash Ultimate chassis. So I went out and got the GGR shocks XO1 front mounts, put 2 of them on, as you can see. I'm running, I believe these are 3.6 spring rate front and rear GTR springs, and then I have the axles from Traxxas, solid metal axles to be able to take the power. I am running a stock slipper clutch, and my gearing is 19 on the pinion and 38 on the spur. Both of those are Traxxas parts and from another Traxxas chassis, and they are considered a Mod 1 gear setup or gears. So other than that, I mean, I'm running, as you can see, the sway bars. I've adjusted them to where they're stiffer. I've dropped the front end to be lower so that it doesn't rebound as much and it just hugs the road. You know, it's a little bit tighter in the back. Let's see if I can get it there, where you can see the sway bars. I've adjusted it back. When you push them back, it tightens the sway bar so that it keeps it pretty stiff. So, other than that, it's all stock. Running stock Traxxas radio system, telemetry. Now my telemetry, one thing I did do is I went into the app. So usually what it does is it assists when you're driving to help you go straight. So what I did was in the application into the steering on my phone, what I did was I changed the endpoints from 100 to 50. So basically, instead of the tires turning full left and right, they just barely turn. When I have it fully cocked to the right or left, it just barely turns. So when it goes straight, it doesn't move much. It just keeps that thing tracking straight. If you watch my first video, you'll see how fat or how straight this thing tracks. So it's one less thing you have to worry about. And when you do speed runs, now obviously when you're not doing speed runs, my suggestion is to change it back to 100 or whatever you like. Just depends on what your objective is. To reiterate, my objective for this chassis was to build a Traxxas chassis that can compete with the Arma Infraction 6S setup. So this is a 6S ESC, and I do run a 6S Gens Ace 6000 milliamp 100C LiPo battery. So but yeah, and that battery actually, believe it or not, it actually fits in this tray. What I have to do though is I have to take off this battery holder piece, and it sits snug in there. And then I have a strap that I take it and I bring it up and over and around and under. Now, keep in mind, folks, that's just temporary, because when I run this on the street, I actually run a 4S battery from Gens Ace. That's a Redline model, and it's 130C. And that thing still breaks this sucker loose and slides it sideways and all that stuff, to where I can drive it just like the Arma Infraction. So I only use the 6S when I'm doing a speed run, because other than that, I don't need it on the street. You do see a couple things here. You're probably like, hey, what are these for? Well, these guys, I did add some lights to my body. I had a couple light bars inside of my body. I'll show you guys at the end that those plug into, just for kind of show, to have some fun with it. Plus, so I can see when it gets dusk, because I do drift it out here on the street in front of my house at night, and I want cars and people to be able to see me. So yeah. But other than that, folks, this is pretty much a stock chassis. I did put this arm on the back so that, because I think I'm going to try and run this weekend and get past 80, because technically the setup that I have, when you do the calculations with the gearing, the battery, the motor, gearing, all that, the calculations that I've done tells me that I should be hitting 90 plus easily. But my downfall with my old setup was, when I had the Ford Raptor body on here, is that in order to keep this thing down as much as possible at 80, I had to load a ton of tire weights on the front here, and in order to keep this thing pushed down, because I did have the RPM bumper that came up a little bit right here, and that's where all the weights were at. So that's what assisted me. But other than that, the chassis was the same that you see here, minus the bar in the back. So the wheelie bar. So, but this time what I'm gonna try and do is something different. Is I'm not gonna have the weights on the front, because I got the other body that I'm gonna run it with, the one that you saw originally in the beginning of this video. And I'm gonna try with the wheelie bar. I was talking to a couple guys that I know that do drag racing, and we were talking about how that keeps the front end down. And I know it. I've seen it in real life. I see how they work. I understand how they function. and their purpose. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to try it this time with the wheelie bar. See if I can keep that front end down and do, 90 miles an hour or more. So, but this is what I got. I do have some GRP, I think it's S5s that I just picked up today, along with this wheelie bar. But when I was looking at them, they're comparable in size and height. As far as height, they're about 2 millimeters shorter than the boots, and they're about a millimeter narrow compared to the boots. As far as the compound is concerned, they're about equal to each other, and they're both belted tires. So these should be able to get me up to 100 easily. And if you think about it, the armor infraction and the felony both run the white letter, the boots. And those cars out the box say 80 plus. And if you have the right battery and the high-speed gearing, you can actually hit 100 with those cars. So I think with these tires, I think I'll be just fine. If not, I'll switch to the GRPs, and we'll just run that way. It doesn't matter. It's either one. It's your preference, really. And as far as that infraction and felony info I just gave, all that's from YouTube. I saw it on YouTube last night, and that's what made me feel more comfortable with running these type of tires. So yeah. But other than that, see, this is my setup. Nice little setup. I got a little plastic plate that I've did with some offsets to bring this up and over to keep it balanced, because this stays balanced. So all these components right here, the amount of weight that they are together is equal to the battery that I put, the 6S battery that I put over there. So it keeps my chassis balanced. And I weighed this chassis with the battery in it, without the wheelie bar, of course, and the body, and it weighed 8 pounds, 1.4 ounces. So, just to give you some info. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this is all I got and everything. Just wanted to show you guys how it is, and I know it's a little bit long of a video, but it is kind of detailed so that you can see my chassis, see my body. Matter of fact, we'll get up and go around, walk around it a little bit so you guys can see it and stuff. I did extend my connectors so that and I did put 5mm connectors on here so it goes straight into my battery. So, and the 5mm connectors and this 10 gauge wire that comes on here will allow the current, will not restrict the current or voltage at all from the battery to the ESC. So, yeah. And when you see my castle data, when I post that up next, you'll be able to see what I run and what I get for results. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. I'm gonna call it a night. It's late. I gotta get to bed and go to work. So we will see you next time.